Hi guys, my name is Avril and I have my own company and it's called Human Reasons, and my website is www.humanreasons.com. So most importantly, you've taken the time to listen to this. What do? My business we do two different things. On one side we provide HR services for companies, so I work as a HR consultant, and that basically means I am an advisor in the area of HR, which is human resources. And we help companies with needs across lots of different areas, for example, recruitment, training and development, employment law, all of the areas that you would typically expect to find in that whole area of HR, human resources. That's one thing that we do in our company. And on the other side then, we provide, which is probably more interesting for you guys, lots of different career services. So we support people across every stage of their career. So starting from, let's say, picking your subjects for fifth year, all the way through to CAO choices, college, post-college qualifications such as postgraduate programs, entering the workforce, graduate roles, those who are in jobs who are looking maybe for a better job, those going back to work maybe after having a baby, after illness, those who are further along in their career, those at the executive, those higher levels, and those approaching retirement as well. So literally at all ages we support people in terms of our career services. So again, if you do get a chance, have a look at our website and some interesting stuff on that, some tips as well. It's always good to get some free tips. And also I have a YouTube channel and it's called Human Reasons, and there's some good talks on that as well that are interesting in terms of exploring your career options. There's some talks on things like that come up in every workplace, and I'm sure school is no different. Things like dealing with conflict. And there's areas that are covered in it too, like mental health, because I also work as a volunteer in the area of mental health, and I'll talk about that in a second. So we were asked us to speak in relation to the type of work that we do and what sort of informed our choices around what we're doing today and why we've ended up in those pathways, and what we would have done, let's say, at secondary school level, the types of subjects that are helpful, the type of skills that are helpful, that type of thing. So I suppose it's like everything. Every subject is useful, depending on what you're interested in and how you choose to use it, So in my own work, I suppose subjects like English are really, really helpful because it gives you even from a HR perspective, we would say, a very good grounding in verbal reasoning skills and all of that verbal stuff. So your ability to analyse a lot of data that's in verbal form, make sense of the data and do something with it. So English can be really, really helpful from that perspective. It's certainly a very valuable subject, but all the subjects have a value. I often say to people at the moment, because unfortunately less and less people are speaking Irish, that I think Irish is a great opportunity for people to, in terms of future careers. I think that there could be any availability or options available to people within the government, for example, because there are less and less people speaking Irish. So I think languages are always, I have a bias for languages. I love languages, and I think they're always a great choice for people. I chose Spanish as a language for me in my secondary school studies, and I actually spent a year living in Madrid, and it opened a lot of doors for me. So it was great to learn the language in school, and then living in the country as well. It literally just, it just opens doors, and it's fantastic from that perspective. I found subjects like maths really, really hard, but I did it anyway. And I think that's a key piece too. I think you learn a lot to those subjects that you don't necessarily find easy. Let's say I certainly didn't have a natural ability for secondary level maths. I was fine in primary school, I just about made it. But when it came to secondary school and it came to algebra, it was like absolutely like Korean or something. I couldn't understand it at all and still can't. So, but I think it taught me a lot of resilience to kind of stick with it and that type of thing as well. And I think equally some other subject choices were a bit like that for me too. But anyway, I work in the area of HR and it is really, really interesting. And I suppose what's interesting about it and the career services also is that it's got a huge people orientation. So no 2 days are going to be the same. People are very, very different, and people's experiences of life and how they interact with the world and how they deal with the world are always going to be different. And I deal with lots of different companies as well. From that point of view, I think in terms of school, get involved in what you can get involved in. I know it's not always easy, and it's certainly not the same at the moment because you can't meet people as much and that type of thing. But if you can go out of your comfort zone even a little bit, it's usually worth it. I think transition year is a good idea. I actually didn't do it, and I regret that I didn't. I was in a big rush to get out of secondary school, and I avoided some of the stuff that probably would have been, better for me to keep on. Like I was in a team sport and I loved it, but I I was so worried about my exams, I think, that I stepped away from that, and I regretted that further down the line. So, and I chose individual sports more, and that probably wasn't the best decision for me, and I can see that now, and I couldn't see it at the time, you know. So I suppose make the choices that are good for you. Try and think about it from a longer term perspective. You know, who's in your circle, who do you trust, who's the aunt or uncle or the friend that I give you good advice, not just the advice you want to hear. Because I was good as well at just, you know, confiding in certain people because I know they give me a certain answer, and it might have given me the easiest option. I'd say, well, such and such said that, so I'm definitely going to give up honours and maths, you know, or whatever it was. But I certainly would, you know, think that way. I would avail of all of the support that's available to you. As I said, my own website has a lot of information on it. I'd be delighted to hear from you at any point in time in terms of any advice you'd have. I do have a bias for languages. Me encantan las lenguas. Estoy aquí ahora en la casa de mis amigos españoles. I love languages. I think they open up doors, but I think all of the subjects have a place. They have something to teach us, and I think it's only further down the line that we realise how much they actually have to give. So thank you so much for listening.